The next ice crystal to be blown in.
We were keen to get the NovaSeq X Plus in the lab because we're always trying to stay at the forefront of the technology. The Nova
Just because you have immunity now and unlimited bathroom pass makes you think you could talk down to everybody?
Honestly, I think this is pretty pathetic. You're clearly just upset you did so horribly in the banana peeling challenge. That's not my fault.
How could you say that? You know I have sensitive fingertips. I just think it's uncalled for Randy to make a comment like that about the banana peeling challenge. I told him about my potato peeler accident. It makes it hard for me to peel things of any kind.
Mark thinks I'm being a jerk. Honestly, I couldn't care less. I didn't come here to make friends, you know? I came to win. Maybe some of these other people came here to make friends. This is a competition. I didn't come here for that. At the end of the day, this is the challenge house. I didn't come here to make friends. I'm not trying to make any friends. Honestly, Mark, the thing is, I didn't come here to make friends, all right? I came here to win. This is the challenge house. I didn't come here to make friends.
At the end of the day, like it or not, I didn't come here to make friends.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
What?
Oh, sorry, no, that's a good line. That's a good badass line. That's a good soundbite for the show.
Oh,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, no problem. That really means a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
You get breaks or anything? You want to grab a beer or something?
Here's the thing. I didn't come here to make friends. I came here because I have a job to do. If I wanted to make friends, I wouldn't have come here. I would have gone somewhere else. This is just, I work here, honestly. I didn't come here to make friends.
Yeah, you tell him.
What?
You tell him. I like that attitude. It's a good attitude that I enjoy it.
Thank you.
Honestly, I just came here to make friends and I'm having the best day.
ใหม่วิสกัสเพสตี้มิกเจลลี่อร่อยจากปลาไก่และผักแท้ๆในสไตล์ญี่ปุ่นลองเลย
I built a giant death trap, which is just one of many traps we've built. And for every trap this contestant survives, he wins $100,000. But if he fails one, he loses everything. The first trap is simple. He's got to break out of this cage and climb up this roof before the walls close in.
Mac, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You sure?
Do it.
That was a little rude, but okay.
How am I supposed to get out of this?
Mac, hey, you want a hit?
What?
The roof. Hey, Mac, don't forget 100 grams on the line. Oh my gosh, he takes so close to the spikes.
How does breaking the chair help?
Mac, come on.
I'm flying. Jimmy, shut up.
Oh, it's almost there. Mac, hurry.
Oh, Mac, come on.
You just won 100 grand! But,
Yes!
but I have a second trap set up for you right now. And if you risk this 100 grand, you can win 200 grand. Think on it. But I also don't have a video if you don't say yes.
I'm doing it.
Get in there. Let's go.
Mac may sound confident now, but there are 10 more traps he has to get through if he wants to walk out of this with $1 million. But first, let's see if he can win 200 grand.
Welcome to trap number 2. Close the door. Well, glad we were not under that. In these duffel bags is 200 grand in cash. All you have to do to win it is press that red button and go back through this door.
What happens when I press a button?
Just press it and find out.
You wanna come with me?
No, I'm staying over here.
What? Come with me.
Go press the button. In case you forgot, 200 grand's on the line.
I don't know what's gonna happen when I push the button.
Just press the button. The dramatic lights. I think you can see what the trap is. If you touch a laser, the door's gonna slam closed.
Is there a time limit?
There's a touch the laser limit, and it's 1. Bro, imagine if you just hit the first laser.
Oh, this is not made for short people, dude.
Oh my gosh. I had a feeling he would crawl on the floor. That's why coming up, there's lasers literally straight in front of him.
I don't know how I'm gonna get past those. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, this is crazy. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're like surrounded by lasers. Mac, I wouldn't move.
Jimmy, if I touch a laser, how long do I have before that door closes?
Less than a second.
Take a step to your left. Take a step out of the way.
Okay.
Thank you. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh. That was so. I'm speechless.
Oh yeah! Yeah!
Let's go! No, don't celebrate yet. Do you want to walk away with 200 grand or risk it for 300 grand?
I think I'm gonna do the next one.
Let's do it. Unfortunately for Mac, all of these traps get progressively harder and harder to pass. Especially this next one. Mac, come on in. Ah! You are now in trap number 3. Bro, look how cool this is. We literally spent the last 60 days designing this set.
Wow.
This is the $200,000 you've already won. All you have to do here is grab the next $100,000. And then all you gotta do is walk down this path and walk right through this door.
What's gonna happen when I grab the money?
Look around.
It's over your head on this one. Ah, okay. Starting to click for me a little bit.
That was a little too obvious.
I'd say as soon as I pick that money up, that boulder's coming straight for me.
And if you get ran over by the boulder, I take my 300 grand back.
Oh, dude.
I'm gonna go over here so I don't get squished by a boulder.
I want you to count me down from 3.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my God, it's gonna hit him! Oh my God! You gotta go! Go! Go!
Oh, back! Not gonna lie, you are much faster than I thought.
Oh my gosh!
That boulder was right behind him. Are we gonna go for a 4th?
I don't know, Jim.
So you're actually getting better.
If that thing hit me, what would happen? Would I die?
Well, here's what happened to Nolan when he got hit. It hurts.
I'm sorry. I just gotta.
Yeah, of course. No, this is a big decision. You should really think it through. Okay, so what are you doing?
Okay, I'll do one more.
One more?
One more, yeah.
All right, let's go see if he loses 300 grand or makes more money.
Don't phrase it like that, Jimmy.
Mac is now in a ball. How's it feel?
I'm realizing how bad I smell in this ball.
You chose this. Open the doors. Welcome to trap number 4. For this trap, I made a life-size video game that he has to complete.
Oh my gosh, dude.
To win 400 grand, all Mac needs to do is complete this course. In case it's not clear, if you fall down there in the foam, you lose.
I see that.
Oh yeah, and one more thing. You only have 5 minutes to complete the course. Okay. First things first, we have these little platforms, not too crazy.
This is so much harder than a ball.
Bro, if he's unironically struggling with this, wait till he gets to all the moving platforms of death. This is not gonna be easy. Well,
Oh my gosh, dude.
Jump!
Mac, be careful. 400 grand on the line. Here, can I join you? I don't know. I'm sorry, because I want to be in the video. It's my video. This is terrifying. Up to this point, it's been pretty easy. This is where it starts to get difficult.
This is where it's difficult. It has not been easy. Oh, this is crazy, dude.
Unlike the other challenges, he's actually going pretty quick. Balancing inside of this ball is harder than it looks. It multiplies all of your movements, meaning you can fall at any time.
This ball is so hard to balance.
Bro, it's 400 grand. It's not supposed to be easy. The obstacles so far in this trap are nothing compared to the final stage. This is where it gets really hard. I couldn't have been more wrong. Mac literally obliterated the last stage of this course in 10 seconds.
Oh, no! That is what I'm talking about!
Bro, whenever he wins, I get afraid to be around him. I don't know what to say. When I sketched this on a piece of paper, it seemed a lot harder. However, the traps that follow this one are harder than anything we've seen so far. Answer the riddle. What is better than 400 grand?
500 grand.
Are you gonna be a wuss? Or do you want a chance to win $500,000?
If the next one's gonna be as easy as this, let's run it back.
I didn't say it would, but I'm gonna take that as a yes. Next trap. Which Mac is gonna need a bathing suit for because it might involve some swimming.
Jimmy, what is this?
Mac, hop in this water real quick. Mac, do you have any idea what you're doing?
Not really.
Okay. This trap is hard but simple. When I say go, your money will be pulled towards that massive bonfire. To stop it, you'll need to pull that lever. And to get there, you'll have to swim through this underwater chamber and pick the locks of all 4 doors in your path.
Got it.
You're probably wondering, why am I holding a clothes hanger? Because that's how you pick the locks. Mac, are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, oh, wait, Mac, can you fix that thing behind you? All right, the timer has started. This bunny, in exactly 3 minutes, is gonna be in that fire pit, unless Mac comes out the other end and flips that lever.
He's struggling right now. How is he holding his breath this long?
So Mac just unlocked the first lock.
You got this, Mac?
And while he's competing for $500,000, I want to tell you about Stumble Guys, a free-to-play multiplayer game where you basically compete against random people in knockout games, and whoever comes out on top wins the crown. Every time Mac unlocks a lock, he goes deeper and deeper into the water, which means he has less and less time to pick each lock since he has to come back up to the surface for air.
That is so hard to see.
Bro, this is crazy. Stumble Guys even took some of our biggest videos and turned them into levels in the actual game. And on top of that, Stumble Guys now has Mr. Beast skins, emotes, and even victory animations available inside their item shop. Oh, we got the third door open. There's also a special Mr. Beast themed event coming soon on Stumble Guys, so make sure you download it on iOS, Android, or Steam for free right now. All right, Mac, one more door. Bye-bye.
Look how close the money is to the fire.
He's almost done. I think he just opened the 4th gate.
Pull the lever! You gotta pull the lever!
You just stopped the money! Oh my gosh. I hate you. You might be a little lightheaded from the lack of oxygen.
I can barely see.
I know. See that 500 grand floating right there? You want to risk it for 600 grand. Full transparency, the next trap is probably the easiest trap of all of them. I'm serious. If you were to ever stop, I don't think now is when you'd want to stop.
All right, let's
Yeah?
go. I'm in. Yeah.
That could have been a lie.
What?
I was in fact not lying. Anyone with a developed prefrontal cortex should be able to pass this next one. Welcome to the next trap. This, in theory, should be the easiest 100 grand of your life, okay? I need you to pick either a Feastables bar or a Hershey's bar. One needs to go in the trash. There we go!
I would never eat that!
Well, of course,
Disgusting.
because you just won 100 grand.
That's right.
Now you have $600,000 in cash
Jimmy, that's 6 Lamborghinis.
and a Feastable bar. I will throw that in.
Thanks.
Do you want to risk this $600,000 mini ocean of money for the chance to win $700,000? You're crazy. I can tell he's about to say yes.
Dude, my mom is gonna be so mad at me if I lose this right now.
Yes or no?
Just one more. What's one more? All right, let's do it. Yes,
Let's
one more.
do it?
One more. I actually though, like, please.
Yeah?
Do not let me do one after that.
Okay.
Okay.
But where we're going on this next trap, Mac's gonna need a blindfold. All right, can you see?
I cannot see.
Oh. That was a lie. All right, maybe actually 2 blindfolds. I hope he's not scared of heights. And if you're wondering why I said of heights earlier, well, send us up! Oh, we're going up! No. Mac may know that we're going up, but not how far.
Oh my God, dude.
We're going 200 feet in the air, where he's gonna have to face his biggest fear if he wants to walk away with 700 grand. Mac, let's take off the trash can. Heads up! Mac, welcome to the next trap. I hope you're not afraid of heights.
I'm scared, bro. Dude, that looks terrifying.
The
จัดการแบคทีเรียช่วยลดปัญหาสุขภาพเหงือกลองนี่คอลเกตเกลือสมุนไพรช่วยลดแบคทีเรียตามแนวเหงือกเพื่อเหงือกสุขภาพดีได้ทุกวัน
The next trap is simple. All you have to do is walk to the other side on this absurdly thin balance beam.
Okay. This is insane, dude. Oh my gosh. I just don't know how he's gonna do this. I'm so scared right now. I'm like so scared.
Bro, this is terrifying.
Would you do this? Like,
no, heck no. I would never do this. 700 grand on the line. His worst fear. Let's see what happens.
Okay, I can't think about it anymore. This is what it is.
There. Oh, he's definitely at the point of no return. Oh my gosh. Holy crap, he's making. Oh. Whoa! Oh. No way. Oh!
Yes! 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 That's what I'm talking about! That is what I'm talking about, baby!
Oh my God, dude! Based on the first couple of steps, I did not think he was going to make it. As requested, I will not try to influence you. Do you want to walk away with your 700 grand or risk it and keep going for the $1 million? Your decision.
I have the opportunity right now to leave with just an insane amount of money. But I'm just so close. I just feel like everyone at home wants to see the next 3 challenges, right?
I do.
Final answer. I'm going to the next one.
If he fails the next trap, I'm gonna feel terrible. Mac now only has 3 traps remaining to win $1 million, but it only gets harder from here. You decide to risk the money, let's do this.
I'm so scared.
Lights on. This next trap may look a little familiar. Our most viewed video is Squid Game, so I thought it would be fun if we combined the glass bridge game with the cookie cutting game all into one trap. Just like in Squid Game, you have a honeycomb here. You have to cut out the shape that's there and put that exact shape on this scanner. If you break the cookie, it won't fit in this circle, and the bridge will drop you.
And I lose everything.
But if it's the exact same size, the door will open and you have to do it 3 more times.
How much time do I have?
There is no time limit.
Thank God.
No, but you've been
Thank
taking
God.
some of these challenges. He takes an hour, so I might give you one.
No, don't give me a time limit.
Okay, well, can you just at least start?
Okay, my strategy, Jimmy, is I lick this boy, and that's gonna melt the sugar, and then ideally I can poke this needle through this cookie.
So your strategy is Squid Games.
That's a way to put it, yeah.
Mac.
Just get away from me.
I didn't touch you.
You need to stay over there.
What about my croc? No! Well, now I don't have a shoe.
It's the only way to teach you, man. All right, here we go.
It's taking forever.
I understand that this money essentially meaningless to you. Me, this would change my life.
I understand.
So I'm gonna take my sweet time cutting the circle out.
You can take your sweet time. Take your sweet time. Just the next one, I'm probably gonna put a time limit.
No!
Halfway done.
That's it, right?
Okay, put it there. You're good. Lights on. He's gonna solve the triangle pretty easily. But after the triangle is a star and then umbrella, which are way harder. Oh! Okay. Cookie! Also, wait, before you open it, 1 second. Oh, no! I'll replace that. Because the money was so far away, I moved it over here in case you forgot what you were competing for.
Part of it's really far away.
I will replace it.
Okay.
You can proceed.
For the record, I regret saying yes to this.
Really?
Yeah.
At this point, seeing how sad you are at the thought of losing, I would actually highly recommend, if you win, to walk away after this one.
That's what I thought after I finished the high ropes course.
That's what you thought after every trap. But yet we're here. Wow, that's just sliding off. Last piece. Oh my gosh. I think he did it. Okay. Walk on in here. Cookie us. Now comes the real challenge. Umbrella. The hardest shape.
If I win this, I don't think I should risk it again, dude.
All right, how about this? Cut this stupid umbrella out and then just take the money. For my sanity.
For my sanity, dude.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, this one has a 10-minute timer.
Okay, it's ticking right now?
Yeah.
I already,
9 minutes and 50 seconds remain.
I love you. I will not be speaking to you while I'm doing this.
I completely understand. $800,000 is on the line.
Give me a $1 bill, like a stack of money. Give it to me.
Stack? Okay. He's using the money as a hammer. They didn't do that in Squid Game. I've never felt more intensity in my life. This is very, very difficult.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself if I lose this.
5 minutes remain. Honestly, I think you can do this.
I feel like I'm gonna break it, dude.
Ooh, shoe hammer.
Dude, I'm just making like no progress.
2 minutes. He's starting to break it off. He's starting to pull pieces off. Just so you know, there's 60 seconds left now. Wait, what just happened? Oh, no. Oh. I actually don't know what to say.
I'm such an idiot, dude. And I had it all. I had $700,000. I don't know why I did that.
Would it have hurt less if you just lost the first challenge?
So much less.
Well, here, come on, buddy. Come on. Let's stand up.
Let it be known, if you're in a Mr. Beast video, quit while you're ahead.
I'll be honest, guys. This was pretty sad. So I decided to give Mac an extra 100 grand for his troubles. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this one. Hopefully the next one has a happier ending. See you later.
I stand sentinel.
beloved is gone, but his power remains. Control the shrines.
ช้อปปี้ไลฟ์เพิ่มรอบเที่ยงวันถึงบ่าย 2แจกคอร์ดลดเพิ่ม 50% ทุกไลฟ์ชุบ
Breaking a spear shaft with a shield, would that work? Probably not. You can cut through a spear shaft, but it takes several blows with a sharp sword. It's not a lightsaber. Hi, I'm Matt Easton.
Hi, I'm Toby Capwell.
私は赤上地と申します。
My name is Jim Kent.
Hi, my name is Tekla Hudirova.
Hi, I'm Shane Adams, the owner of the Knights of Valor.
My name is David Jordan, the London Longsword Academy.
My name is Jamie Yankovic.
So today we're going to be looking at some pole-arm combat scenes.
Horseback fights in medieval arms armor.
Nunchuck scenes.
We're going to be looking at some archery scenes from TV and film, and we'll see.
Their defenses crumble before you.
It opens up the sight windows up, lift your bows up straight like that. Generally, the thing you can see is he's clearly pointing one way, so you can see the arrow when he's coming from the other way. And a lot of people call that the archer's paradox. The archer's paradox is the fact that the arrow's pointing off to the left when you're actually pointing at the target at the right. That's the paradox. And it's the flexing of the arrow that makes it travel down range.
Keep destroyed. Well done, champion.
I'm only really accurate up to point that 30 meters. I'd get inventive. See, I'd be zigging and zagging. I'd be serpentining.
His strength was never yours to keep.
There is a type of archery called a clout, typically done by English longbow snipers, which is long distance shooting, where you shoot at a flag on the ground, 180, 200 yards away, shooting up, shooting down, closest to the flag. So there are people that can shoot very, very well at long range. Medieval longbow archers could be. So the bow looked like it had what a component, where you've got the basic bow, and then you'd have another set of limbs that come off the front. So that limb is attached to that limb, and that limb is attached to that limb, and that gives you way more power. So it would be perfect for that kind of, a 9.
Failure is complete.
Compound bow is typically either a pilot's bow or a hunting bow. You can adjust the angle that the limbs are at, and if you wind them in, it gives you a little bit more power. And I think what he's doing there is maximising his power on the compound bow. Now you can buy arrows that come in parts. That's not how arrows work. That's just asking for trouble. There are points in an arrow that flex, and if you are cutting an arrow into 3 and assembling it, it's not going to behave like it should. Now, that's John Rambo's tipped arrow. There was a type of broadhead in the past, and it came in a case like that. I think that's just the case of a broadhead sprayed bronze. That's okay, but I know later on she shoot around. The arrow flight on that is, I forgot. Okay, shooting a compound off his fingers. Much straighter release. Well, I mean, this type of bow, the further you pull it back, the higher the poundage gets. A compound bow starts high and gets lighter. So you can hold it at full draw for long periods of time, a little bit more sort of fast, a bit more powerful. Grenade-tipped arrow? Yeah, they do exist. Whether or not they're commercially available, I don't know. Everything else looked really good. The way he was setting up the bow, the way he was changing his poundage and everything, I liked that. And the fact that he shot the arrow, it flew like garbage, but if you got a grenade sitting on the end of the arrow, it probably would fly like that. So weirdly, I think it's probably quite realistic. I'm going to give Rambo an 8. There's a huge tennis ball on the end of an arrow. The more weight you put on the front of an arrow, the less efficient it's going to be. It's just not going to go very far.
Let me just fix this, give me a second.
I
There's a little grabber or something on the end of that arrow. Again, that's going to add even more weight. It's not a case of one arrow fits all. Arrows come in spine weights, and that refers to the stiffness of the arrow. And obviously, certain bows need a certain spine weight. So by adding a lot of weight to the front of the arrow, you dynamically weaken the spine of the arrow. So therefore, the arrow would be out spine, and it would probably just veer off to the right. Flat arrowhead, for either stomp shooting, shoot two hands, that kind of thing, small game hunting. She's moving her arm up, and when you're shooting at distance, whether it's low down or high up, you don't really move your arm, you move from the waist, so you kind of pivot your whole body, not just your arm up and down. That's something I've spotted. The shot itself, not very realistic at all, but her shooting is pretty good. We'll go 5 out of 10 in the middle. You've got really long arrows there. It looks like she's only using 2 fingers on the string, one above, one below. I've seen people do that. So she's got quite an overdraw there. She's got this explosive release, which, again, in order to make a good archery shot, you need to keep it concise and simple, because something like that, you're not going to be able to repeat it time and time again. If you've got a simple release that comes back, you can repeat that. You've got to be safe with everything you film. And I imagine that bow was probably a very real bow, but it was probably such low poundage and had such a stretchy string that it goes straight back to being a straight piece of wood. The distance between the lowest point of the bow and the string, that's called the brace height. If your brace height is too low, your bow becomes very noisy. It becomes quite quick, but it becomes very noisy, and you're really, really in danger of getting some real nasty string burn on your arm. Shooting multiple arrows off a bow at the same time, what happens is, because you've got all the energy comes from the limbs and pulling the string back, and what that does, it pushes the arrow forward. And the heavier the arrow that it needs to push, the more energy it needs to sort of get that arrow to where it needs to go. But if you're shooting multiple arrows, essentially the bow doesn't know there's multiple arrows on there, it just thinks there's a really heavy arrow. 2 arrows is double the weight, you know, and the more arrows you put on, the heavier weight that bow is going to need to push the arrows through the air, and it basically just takes all the guts out of the bow. We'll give Wonder Woman a 5. They did all right. In order to shoot well, you need to be able to move. So I think the fact that they've got her in a tight thing and she can't shoot properly, I think is brilliant. Archery is all about keeping everything straight. The less influence you can have over the bow, the better the arrow is going to fly. So if you're influencing the shot's not going to go right. So if you can keep everything nice and simple, which she's doing, she's coming back on the same plane as the arrow's going forward. Archery is all about being able to repeat the shot time and time again. There's a famous book called The Art of Repetition, which is all about archery. And if you can replicate your shot time and time again, you will be a fantastic archer. She seems to have a nice repeatable kind of form there. Now look at this loose. The trick is with archery, is you don't let go of the string. The trick is to try and no longer be holding the string. So you've got to relax your hand, let the hand flow back. If you're kind of trying to open your hand as hard as you can, you'll never beat the string. The string is going to be quicker than your reactions across the board. So if you can just get to your anchor point and then relax your hand and let it come back, you're going to get a much smoother release. And you can see your hand just relaxes. A lot of people think arrows fly straight. They don't. If you watch an arrow in slow motion, it's like a wet noodle going down range. This is Robin Hooded an arrow, which is where you shoot an arrow down the back of another arrow, and the grain tends to split, but the grain never runs perfectly parallel down the back of an arrow. It will always kind of peel off. It's actually really hard to do with wooden arrows. It's a lot easier to do with sort of modern
One arrow is because they're a tube of carbon, and it's easier to kind of put an arrow down the back of another one. That's 10. One of the best representations of the way an arrow and a bow work together.
Stark, get a lot of stray stuff in your tail.
I'm trying to work out what bow that is. Obviously, it's got some gadgets on it. It could be a modified Hoyt Buffalo, sprayed black. He's using a finger and thumb draw, which isn't really necessarily gonna work for that kind of thing. Hawkeye, that's a bit of a mess, dude. He's got a shooting glove, which is good to see. He's got a couple of arm guards on there as well. That's what's called a biter arm guard. That's just a make of arm guard. Thin strip of plastic, and it just protects you from the sort of the string as it sort of vibrates back to where it's supposed to go. Sometimes it can just catch your arm and just give you a little sting. So you tend to have a little bit of an arm guard who just protects you. Traditional archers tend to wear like a bit more of a leather kind of bracer. You wouldn't wear two unless you're doing something really wrong.
Well, they can't bank with a damn.
If you can't look at it, how are you going to shoot it? The trend with these kind of dynamic things is that there's never any kind of anchor point. It's always just pull it back and let it go from whatever position you're in, which is fine, but you're not going to get that kind of level of accuracy that he gets. Like he's shooting moving targets. Now there is a famous trick shot, but you're looking in a mirror, and I've tried it, and I've almost succeeded. He's got what, maybe 36 arrows maximum when he first starts. It's like films with guns. You get people shooting and they never seem to have to reload, but it looks like it's fun, so I'm gonna have to give it 4.
Too slow! Fast as you can! Again! Come on!
People can knock arrows out of the air. It's not something I would recommend trying, because if you get it wrong, you only get one chance. I want people to enjoy archery, but I also want people to be really safe when it comes to archery. There's a huge safety element to it. Although a bow isn't classed as a weapon, it's classed as sporting goods. It can be used as a weapon. He's shooting arrows at the guy and he's knocking them out of the air. I'd hate for some kids to think, hey, let's try that and do it and get hurt. It would break my heart.
This man needs me.
Try the other side. It will save you a second on the reload.
He gets to show him a different way of shooting. Now this all came from Lars Anderson video that came out a few years back, and it kind of turned the archery world on his head, and he suggested that you took the arrow from the left side of the bow to the right side of the bow, which goes from essentially a Western style of archery to an Eastern style of archery. Changing anything in archery is a slow process. It takes time for your body to get used to such a change, and going from one side of the bow to the other, it would take time.
Come on! Again! Fast! Yes!
If you shoot the arrow on the right side of the bow with a Mediterranean release, one finger above the arrow, 2 fingers below, what happens is the arrow veers wildly off to the right, which isn't ideal. And there are people that can shoot a Mediterranean style release, like the way they get Robin Hood to do in this film. You've got to pull the bow out this way. If you're doing big dynamic movements to try and get the arrow to go straight, they're very difficult to repeat, so you're not going to be fantastically accurate with them. It's just something that I personally am not a huge fan of. There are people that shoot hybrid styles, sort of east and west. At the end of the day, you've got to shoot in a way that's comfortable and that puts the biggest smile on your face. Because it does require a certain amount of fitness, a certain amount of stamina to shoot, because it's, you know, they're not easy to pull back. You've got to hold sometimes tremendous weights for, you know, a good few seconds before you make the shot. You know, various lifting weights isn't necessarily going to work the archery muscle. That is actually a good archery muscle is working there. That's going to do more for them than bench pressing wheels. You can use stretchy bands, things like that. That sort of builds up muscles and whatnot. See, I want to give it a reload score, but I like it working out with the ropes. So I'm going to push it up. I'm going to give it a 4. She's using sound to make a deer move into a more accessible shot. fine, but I would imagine a deer would have been at that stage. From my experience, they're pretty skittish things.
What are you gonna do with that when you kill it?
I like it personally when you're at full draw. You come to anchor and you're there. You know, if you're doing all the shots wrong, you need to have focus. She actually has beautiful form in this film, and she was coached by an Olympic archer called Katuna Lorick, an American Olympic archer. Again, a fantastic archer. So her form is Olympic form, which is fantastic for target archery. Now, she's in a hunting scenario. That type of archery isn't necessarily going to work fantastically well in this sort of scenario. There's so many variables. You're uphill, you're downhill. You're waiting at full draw for something to come into shot. She's doing the boom shooting, shooting moving target is also good. And you wouldn't be able to use an Olympic style of shooting to shoot a moving target. Now, they look like huge plastic feathers.
I grant you a talent.
Shooting off the shelf. That's not necessarily going to work out too well. The sort of bow she's got there is not a million miles away from this type of bow. That's called a shelf, so the arrow sits on there. And as the arrow passes over, the reason why traditional archers use feathers is because they compress and they don't really cause too much of an issue. Where if you're shooting plastic feathers like those, that they're not going to compress like a feather would, and that's going to cause some fouling on the shelf. Shooting a broadhead, which is a hunting arrow, so a two-bladed broadhead, and it's stuck into the target quite realistically. That's kind of how a broadhead would stick into a hard target. Even a light-handed bow would probably do that. It's not hardwired into the pig's mouth or anything, it just rests in there, so I don't think it would take a huge amount. I mean, I've tried to shoot apples before. What tends to happen is the arrow just goes straight through the apple. So you knock it off whatever you're shooting, but I've yet to pin it. The type of archery I do, it's called instinctive archery, because I don't use the sight, and I let my mind and my brain and my muscle memory work subconsciously to let me know where to shoot. That's what she's doing there. I would imagine although she's got very Olympic style, where she's looking at something and she's just bang. I've always got a soft spot. You know, the whole battery of archers is gonna really mess some orcs up.
You may select a talent.
I can't see the types of arrow points they're using, but I've seen a lot of films people using broadheads and shooting at armor, and that wouldn't work. There were certain arrow points that were designed to go straight through armor. Like it's pointy, but it's bulbous and it's stiffer, and it was designed to kind of punch through armor. His elbow's a bit high, but I'll give him that. When you've got some big orc dude with a stick coming at you, you're not always going to get a chance to set and make the perfect shot. But in order to speed shoot to that kind of level, you'd need a pretty light poundage bow. I'm going to go 4, but it's cool. This was more of an Eastern style. His arrow is really short, and it's got like a piece of bamboo on the arrow attached to the bow, where the short arrow will, because obviously the longer the arrow, the heavier. The shorter the arrow, the lighter. The lighter something is the further. So you just pull the bow back all the way and put maximum juice into that little arrow. He's using his thumb. Typically, you overdraw with that style of archery. You relax that hand and come away from the thumb and let the string sort of focus in his face. Breathing is a weird one. Some people hold their breath, some people breathe through the shot. If you're hunting and you're waiting for a deer to sort of come into view, you could be holding for a good 15, 20 seconds. Olympic archers get to hold for a lot longer. Some people even quicker. Some people come to full draw and then next if you can't drop him straight away, you can wound him and then chase him down and poke him with something else. Obviously, if there was a barb on it, you couldn't pull it out. You have to pull it through. So, you know, that to me looked like a shot in the stick. So yeah, you could probably pull that out. Medieval archers used to do when they put their arrow points on, they would put them on with wax. They hit you. You pull it out. The point's still in you. Or if you missed, it landed on the floor. The point would come off, so it couldn't be shot back at you. But weirdly, archers nowadays are more likely to be injured when that's in the target. People walk up and stumble.
Hi there, my name's David Ronning from the London Longsword Academy and the full-time sword. Sword fighting and like a lot, obviously. So basically what I have with me here is a longsword. Longsword for me is generally a sword which is held in two hands. With the short or long you have the pommel, the crossguard, the grip, the blade. Usually within the fencing device, so we'll have a strong half, which is the half of the middle of the hilt, and then from the middle down to the point of the width. Just really look at geometry and giving if you get this big historical European martial arts, as I do, where you're not allowed to carry swords on your shoulder because that's really, really frowned upon and no one would ever do it. Except there's actually critique in manual saying you shouldn't do it if you find it injury. So carrying a sword in one hand is a very, very good thing. You see this a lot. People holding a sword on their shoulder, just walking around with it without a scabbard. So I have issues with this particular fight because there's a lot of reverse with the sword being refracted. It's not a good fight to use the sword. You sacrifice your ability to finish the bargain very clearly. You have not got any reach. It's not I like how he moves. I think he's got a good organic feel to him. Generally, the sword is going to move with function, which is very, very good. Very rarely just get out closing the space. One of the things I like about some of these is that there's this idea of see this in where the idea of spinning is something that's really, really quite often frowned upon within it's very much used because you're trying to keep opponents away from each other. So it's not just about fighting you. You've annihilated the king. It's against driving you back and then hitting the next person. So these spinning moves become quite important, and this angled, sinister, straight into you kind of goes out the window. It's not this focus suddenly, it's much more wide and it's a flow. Hey, most of my judgment of this fight scene is actually Henry Cavill being very, very good physically. And what is shown in this fight scene being probably the most disappointing fight scene in The Witcher. So for Henry Cavill it's going to have like an 8. For actual quality of fighting it's going to have about 4. So there's bits in there that actually aren't too bad. Looking at it, there's evasions played for the Emperor, which could be accidental, but you have these movements of just moving around as the parry's coming in. That's actually not too bad. You see this kind of thing quite often. You see it in Destreza when opponents move around each other, where a parry comes in, you disengage under the So you have potential for some actually quite interesting movements.
I grant you a challenge.
With parry, you see that in Talhofer, usually accompanied by a round because of closure and picking up the heels of the first in quite a few treaties, quite often accompanied by a move onto the jaw as well. So potentially within this fight scene, I'd say in those last 2 actions from the cover to the hip with the legs and sweeping up the heels, I'd say those are actually quite good actions. Usually you'd see more control of the opponent's weapon arm or their balance of the shot. So for that, I'm actually going to put a 6 because I think those 2 actions. Okay, so again, we've got some very, very good bits on this. The first bit of this is the shunting away of the opponent. I really, really like this. It creates distance between the 2 opponents. Now, you could argue that maybe he wants to push the opponents into each other, but he has a very, very good instinctive response. Push one away, get your weapon from it, and then onto the other one. And then a good clean finish on one of the cuts. Nothing bosh, just a simple cut of wrath in it. Pretty good. I'd give that a 7. I think that's quite a comfortable thing. Again, I think it's very easy within judging this from a HEMA's perspective to get very focused on an individual, and this is showing good awareness of space, maintaining that distance, and then simple finishes, nothing posh. So immediately the first attack is this big, I'll spin at you, I'll expose my back, and the distance is so bad that he could just be stabbed in the back. Yeah, it's a broadsword or a saber or something, therefore you have to go and cut candles. You don't use this like this. This is terrible. Quite often in Japanese swordsmanship, you're moving the glass deposits, the slag deposits, effectively silicon deposits, that can be in steel. You're moving those throughout the entirety of the length of the blade, and through those foldings you basically spread that out, so you make sure that your blade hasn't got one particular area of weakness. Now with European swords, before we had that consistency, we did something very similar, except that we twisted them like string, so that if one thread was weak, then that's necessarily could be a problem itself, but you having multiple threads and twisting them around each other, you create something stronger. That said, swords do snap, swords do break, and there's always a fine point, and you can't guarantee. The process is not perfect. Even nowadays, with much more clear definitions of how steel should be made and produced, blades still break, so it's not impossible for this to happen. So this is where it really gets quite terrible. There's this insane idea that somehow longswords are really heavy, clumsy weapons. They are not. You can move a longsword much more quickly and much more dexterously than you can a rapier. It's still balanced as if to be used in one hand, but you have the advantage of being able to move it around this position of the forward hand. Now, even the most barbaric moment of a longsword, barbaric technique, we have a technique called the strike of wrath, which is a strike that uses the entirety of the anterior oblique sling, so it's the most powerful strike you can do. But it's not done foolishly, it's done as a mechanic. It's a way of claiming space in front of you, claiming that space for yourself, killing with it if you can, and then going on to pursue your opponent through that. Wide swings don't serve anybody, and they represent the actual piece of equipment very, very poorly. Doing a spin when you're not engaged with the opponent's blade is insane, because you don't know what their sword is doing. And because you're so close and you don't know where their sword is, obviously they can cut you freely because they're still facing you, they still have all of their requisite safety in their hands. 3-4 out of 10.
I hear the call of the wild.
This, in case you didn't know, is the best fight scene ever in any film ever. The fencing in it is completely irrelevant. The fencing is part of a narrative device. It's not meant to overwhelm you. It's just there happening while the dialogue does.
You're using Bonetti's defense against me, huh?
Fitting, considering the rocky terrain.
There's references to Bonetti's defense. I don't even know what that is. But references to Tebow, and Tebow's one of my favorite systems. But they're not showing any awareness of Tebow. Tebow operates on the idea of the perfect angle that you see in a lot of Spanish swordsmanship, and Destreza particularly, here where you have a 90-degree angle which is maintained as much as possible, and you don't make lateral movements with your arms. But all of this is what we call vulgar angles, where the point is higher than the hilt, and lots of lateral movement.
Naturally, you must expect me to attack with Capaferro. Naturally, but I find that Tibble cancels out Capaferro.
Rapier, some people will call it a side sword. The divisions are really a later thing. You don't worry about it too much. It's a sword that you hold in one hand. Now, again, we have the Quillons. Quite often, this is like a crossguard, in fact. Quite often people would hold this simply like so, without getting over the bars, and these extra rings to stop things from landing on your fingers when you're holding the sword normally, and this allows you to put your thumb on there. Later on, you start seeing people holding the sword like so, okay? But it's not universal. Sometimes it is just used like this, okay? Sometimes these are very, very ornate, as you can see here. There's a lot of wire around here, and then sometimes it's just a simple cut.
There's something I want to tell you.
Tell me. I'm not left-handed either.
The idea of being able to fence with both hands shouldn't be necessarily a problem. Fighting somebody who is differently handed to you as well shouldn't be an uncommon experience. So this kind of thing Although it's amusing, you don't want to do this sort of thing at close distance because obviously while you're busy changing your sword hand, your opponent can stab you and this kind of thing. Here you have a bit where as the blade comes through, it disengages, so you're having the blade changing from one side to the other. And in order to fight that, what you're doing is rather than doing lateral parries like this, you're wrapping the blade and you're staying engaged to it. And that can be used to throw the opponent's sword out their hand. So there's a degree of reality in that. It's good. Technically wise, I'd still give it sort of like a 6-7. Even with its parody fencing, it still has better fencing than a lot of the others. That's quite nice because in effect you have a very, very nasty version. This is basically where using a sword to parry. Here we then do something with the offhand. If we're doing Belvedere, the idea would be to restrain the opponent's weapon hand so we can control it and we can choose whether they live or die and we can show mercy at this point. If you're doing this, this is lovely. He doesn't have to worry about the guy's offhand so much because the guy has both hands on the sword. There's a closure off of the line and the guy giving him the distance because he doesn't have to move his feet, the guy's going to come and hit him anyway. He gets to push it aside, he gets to thrust through, he's got control of the opponent's sword still and he gets to finish him. So that I actually quite like. That's pretty good.
From this realm.
I'm not entirely sure holding your hand down with a longsword is a good way not to get the sword taken. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. There is so much bad in this. Again, we're back on this idea that if you've got a longsword, you have to do this with it, and it has to be wide and spinny, and it has to be these big moves. It's meant to be dexterous. You have this idea that there's basically half an hour, the idea of being this kind of space feels you don't want to be more than this way far away from the opponent at the point of your time. So if they drive you away, you're trying to find a way to get your point onto it. Most longsword is intrinsically trying to dominate the space very, very close to the if they need if they stay tight on the blade and the angle is tight just enough to parry like so, you'll try and drive the blade in still maintaining contact on that. All this wide around movement is complete nonsense. Okay, knocking the blade down and striking back up. Now, you could argue that this is almost a nodding in effect. The idea of beating someone's blade down and then hitting back up with the false edge. Here you see where the sword is sweeping wide and one person is standing with their point right in front of the other. You don't parry, then come back here. You stand here and you stab them. And well, that was good. Yep. If someone has got their back to you and you have a spear, do stab them in the back of the leg. That, again, redeeming feature, that's a given from that point. So I quite like the fighting between Brienne, Clark and Harry. I think that's quite good. It's cohesive. It has that real focus to it. So the movement is constant, neither of the moves places. There's no great moves. It's always, I want to be back in the fight. I want to be back in it.
You deserve this talent.
I do like, in general, the hand fights because they are just like, having that idea of the blade fussy detail is a very good thing to have too.
You will arise in time, my champion.
First, the twirling is dreadful. But the blades are all over the place. There's no safety in them. And now that it's being focused on a single opponent, you can use the sword in a much more efficient way. Even if I were to twirl the swords towards you, you'd always want one blade present, always one blade doing something, never having the swords over here. At that point, I think the idea of restraining two weapon hands becomes more important than actually taking the weapons out of the hand. So at that point, I would suggest that potentially you're looking at a way of either throwing them down, really big hold on yeah, you're really looking at just that, and that's fine. It is what it is, but it's terrible. This idea of driving people apart to fight. So you don't want to be standing still. You don't want people to be managing the space for your space to get
This talent is my gift.
laying on the blades so that the grain brings out the pattern weld for a moment so you can see it. So yeah, blades historically are
your
incredibly
task
highly polished in
unfinished,
various different
Crusader.
places. Certainly in Japanese swords that's the thing, certainly European swords it's the thing. Interesting tactical decisions here. So you have a point where somebody has control of the blade, and if you think like the parrying daggers, you have really options to take the blade of the opponent on your dagger, or to take them on your sword and to attack them with the other. But in order to do so, you want to maintain that contact. So to do an action like this, with the opponent's blade still directly in the middle, doesn't make any sense really. So you had a point of control or a point of control, both of those being sacrificed. It's amazing that one of these people didn't die in the process of this. There should have either been disemboweling or stab or whichever, or the other person should have ploughed straight through the middle in this case. From the viewpoint of a good, cohesive fight scene that is realistic, okay, the first miracle of this fight is they don't manage to kill each other. There are forms which consist about fighting around somebody. Usually that other person is disabled so that they're kind of in a position where you don't have to be thrown or something like this, or perhaps there's a bodyguard in someone else's way. I would not really for a swing in sharp again. So much of this is almost a method to show how it feels. So you have an expression of emotion going on in the fight scenes rather than necessarily being this very, very tight, cohesive fight. His anger is always explicit. Everything is these wide, powerful slashes that aren't necessarily good for defense. It's so heavily stylized. I think in things like the Revenge of the Sith, you have these very, very dynamic fight scenes between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and those, I think, are much more expressive in combat. Even if the distance is a little bit funny, if they're standing toe-to-toe and waving swords, there's a lot more aggression into that scene. As such, I think I'll give it a fight. It has aspects that I really enjoy. So my enjoyment of the fight scene is amazing. I really, really love the Yoda fight scenes. I always have. Again, it's that point where you separate any desire. You don't have to be doing it. You know, if it's got dragons, if it's got the Force, it doesn't matter. It has to be something expressive of all the things we want in there.
Celebration is in order.
Yes, absolutely. You can cut flesh, you can cut fabric. It's, again, it depends on the horses are very realistic.
Hi, I'm Toby Capwell. I'm curator of Arms and Armor at the Lost Collection in London. Since I was a kid, I've riding horses and fighting armor. I've taken part in competitions, armor combat all over the world. Today we're going to be looking at the treatment of medieval arms and armor in cinema. Oh, stop. He just got shot in the arm. It knocked him, but it didn't stop him. And, you know, in a complete armor, a medieval knight can suffer horrendous physical pain that would kill an unarmored person. That. But in armored combat, there are times when you decide to let your opponent hit you because you know you can take it and you're going to do something else. You're not going to waste time defending what
I grant you a talent.
And the armor in this clip takes on, again, narrative significance. It's storytelling.
เบอร์ดี้จากแคปจากเต็มกันร้อยซื้อแพ็คใหญ่แล้วมาลุ้นรวยหรือแลกตามสุดคุ้มรีบเลยรวย
You take a shot. He's not clunking around all company. Moves. I've been jousting and fighting in armor for 30 years. You know, I built a lot of different kinds of armor, working with different craftsmen all over the world. Real strength, kind of great and great. It's like a steel skin. It's not bulky.
Not bad
It's
at
your
all.
skin. The armor should fit you like a skin. It should follow your musculature. It doesn't have to be a lot of space under there. It's fitted. It moves with you. The plates are hardened, hard to steel. They don't have to be thick and chunky. ride over it.
Let their fortifications fall. There is still corruption that must be purged.
Knight has a very close personal relationship with Armor. Armor is responsible for his safety, but he's also the guy who can mold your character. It's never really been
You deserve this talent.
you know, until this. It's got a couple of possible sources of inspiration. On the one hand, it looks a lot like ancient Greek hoplites, ancient Greek heavy infantry of like 500 BC. These very distinct spectacles, helmets, like eye touches, nasal for the nose, and then the cheeks brought in. The bronze is trying to get as much protection from the face and the head as they possibly can. So that's where that really closely set kind of spectacle profile. That was then imitated in the Renaissance. You know, in the 15th century in Italy, and this style of helmet became fashionable again in Italy and Venice.
Keep destroyed. Well done, champion.
In the 15th century, most used by infantry, shooting crossbows and firearms and more lightly armored troops. And in the ancient Greek period, they were the heavy infantry, but they still had shields to hide behind, and they're actively protecting their faces as well as relying on their armor. I'd give this a 10. Vikings is a fantasy. You should really treat it as a fantasy. There's a lot of things to like about this show. And that makes it almost the more tragic for me, because those Anglo-Saxons are all wearing late 16th century helmets. The Burgonets with the high comb and the peak, they are 800 years old. The leather biker gear. There's almost no historical evidence
The choice is
for leather clothing. Almost across the board, people in you have a problem with none of the main characters wearing helmets. You can't go anywhere near some mercenaries. So I mean, someone like Ragnar Lothbrok, someone of that stature, have amazing mail coat, you have jewelry, thick gold stuff on him, you have a gilded sword.
Celebration is in order.
Leather crap. I'm gonna give it a 3.
Could not be undone.
Lots of great spraying techniques, and you can spray plastic to look
Killing spree
reflective.
ended.
The crease is more like metal, but it doesn't behave like metal. Their armor's a little, you can see it's a little bit too flexy.
I grow
Something about
tired of your
metal
petty squabbling.
it has a way
Gather
that has
tribute.
a rigidity
Earn my favor.
that rubber and plastic and polyurethane don't have. He walks into the battle, and you know everything you need to know about this guy, and it's all coming out through his gear. They've taken real 15th century armor styles, mostly German, and then turned it up to 11. Sauron is wielding a mace, and maces are real. It's a hafted weapon with a wooden or a steel haft with a flanged or bladed end on one end. So all the weight of the weapon is balanced to the end. And it's a concussion weapon. And you're trying, rather than to cut or pierce your opponent, you're trying to smash through their defenses. Way bigger than any real mace can work. Real German Gothic high medieval maces of the 15th century are they're usually pretty short. just a little bit more than a foot, a bit more long. The heads are quite small. You've got really sharp blades on it, and focusing your energy on a really small area. A weapon doesn't need to have massive but massive always reads well on screen, especially when you've got
We have done well here.
And how successfully does it use armor and weapons to bring its characters and its themes? You gotta give this a mission.
They destroy
There are a couple of elements, shoulders and body, that are ranging for 2 centuries, but they're about a generation. It's helpful. So that well, this is obviously supposed to be the battle. At the real Battle of Agincourt, it was very much. The French had 10,000 fully armed knights. That was the entirety of their army. They had archers, but they didn't use them. The Pas de Calais mud is like this thick, gluey clay stuff, very difficult to move through. And it would be difficult regardless of what you're wearing. Armor often gets blamed for the French, as if the French were wearing heavy armor and the English were too clever.
We are victorious.
The fact is, the English, including Henry V, were wearing full plate armor.
MVP.
The English had 1,500 fully armed knights, whose job it was to protect those famous archers. They go about it sort of the right way, in that this knight is someone who's been trained to fight and kill people since he was a child. Very, very good at it. The only way you've got any chance of this, if you're an archer, an English foot soldier or whatever, is to get 6 or 7 or 8 of your friends and pile in, all at the same time. Don't take turns, he will kill all of you. You gotta all go together. And 4 or 5 of you gotta hold him down, and then 1 or 2 of you have to stab him in the eyes and in the gaps in the armor. You don't stab through the armor. When King Richard III was killed at the Battle of Bosworth, they immobilized him, they held him down, someone took his helmet off, they probably cut the chin strap and took the helmet off, and then they can do as they like. They cut off the back of his skull, they stabbed him right through the brain, they did whatever they wanted. I'll give it a 1 because they've got mud and archers working together, but I can't give it any more than a 1. It's a massive lost opportunity. It's a legal procedure where they're determining the ownership of territory with a trial by combat. They're attacking each other on the wrong side. If you can see, they're passing right to right, which is wrong. They shouldn't be doing that, because your rein hand is in your left hand, so it can't wield a weapon. Your rein hand is in your left, so your left side is more exposed. So that's where your shield goes. Your lance is in your right hand. Nobody's allowed to be left-handed in the Middle Ages. In traditional knightly mounted combat like this, you always pass from left side to left side. Unhorsing someone is very difficult, and it only happens when certain key factors all come together. The timing's got to be right, the impact, the placement of the lance on the body's got to be right, where he is in his stride of the horse when he gets hit. There's lots of things that kind of contribute to the likelihood of being unhorsed. But as a general rule, it's very, very difficult to separate a good horseman from his horse. If this was a later period, in like the 15th century, full plate, when you have full plate armor, you can be run over by a horse in full plate armor and you'll be just fine. I've seen it happen. This is kind of a weird choice in this film because El Cid, Rodrigo de Vivar, is a real person, but he lived in the 11th century, in the late 1000s. It's largely looking like the early to mid 14th century. Uh-oh. The 16th century two-handed swords are coming out now. We assume for some reason that a bigger sword hits harder than a little sword. That, you know, these are not firearms. This is not a higher caliber sword. You know? They didn't have two-handed swords in El Cid's lifetime. What you're seeing Charlton wearing here is what's traditionally referred to as string mail. It's a knitted garment, knitted with big knitting needles. So you've got big loops in the weave of the knitting. And then they iron it flat, spray it silver, and it looks like mail, or they think it does. It doesn't really look that much like mail, but it's been the mail substitute for years and years and years. And it's fine, you know, for the background. And I'd still pass it for the background, but you can't have it in the foreground. 5 out of 10.
โลกเต็มไปด้วยเรื่องให้คิดคิดและต้องคิดลองหยุดแล้วพักดื่มคริสตัลที่ผ่านกระบวนการกรองเอาสิ่งที่ไม่จำเป็นออกจนเคลียร์พักให้คุณได้เคลียร์ความคิดคิดจะดื่มน้ำดื่มคริสตัล
A diving suit is very much like armor in the sense that it protects you from a hostile environment of a different kind. It's a complete fantasy because he's not got an air supply. Diving suits are a real historical thing. There are designs going back to the 14th and 15th centuries in the late Middle Ages of designs for diving suits. The skills of the armorer would be recruited for doing something like this. They work purely on a basic system of water displacement. The suit is not watertight. The water can get in. You pump air into the helmet and it displaces the water below your face. But the water, as the pump is going up and down, the water goes up like this. And it sometimes covers your face and sometimes goes down, and you hope they pump hard enough